I always knew I wanted to pass on to my daughter Matilde my love for cooking. I got it from my mom and my dad, and I started getting my daughter involved in the kitchen when she was almost 2 years old. Back then, I didn't have enough time or energy to come up with ideas for meals every day, and my wife, who doesn't enjoy cooking at all and only eats a piece of toast when I'm not home to cook, never knows what she wants to eat. In that sense, we are a very cliche couple. My wife is like, I'm so hungry. And I'm like, well, what do you want to eat? And she's like, I don't know. And then we added a baby to the mix, and things got even worse. So when my daughter Matilde was about to turn 2, we started getting those boxes that come with a recipe and all the ingredients perfectly measured so nothing is wasted and you don't even have to think, which is great for me. Sometimes those recipes come with things that my wife doesn't like to eat, like lettuce. But my wife eats it anyway. Yeah, she's like that. She's very special. But she eats them anyway because she's a big girl. Sometimes the recipes come with things that I don't like to eat, and today is one of those days. The recipe is pasta with broccoli, and I hate broccoli, mostly because I don't like the taste of fart in my mouth. But my wife says that I have to eat it anyway, and it's my turn to be a big girl. But I'm not a big girl. If anything, I'm a grown woman. So I'm going to make the pasta with broccoli with my daughter, and I'm going to eat it. Now, my daughter and I then begin to cook. She's 1 year and 8 months old, so there's not much that she can do. She mostly helps with spices and gets bored really quickly and gives up and just goes away to play with her toys or something like that, or watch TV, I guess. Then, it's my turn to do something with the pasta. So the pasta is done cooking, and I have to drain it. I have to drain the boiling water, and that's terrifying, as you probably know. So before doing it, I turn around and I make sure that Matilde is not near me. But even before doing that, the recipe says that I have to save a cup of boiling pasta water to thicken, the sauce. Now, this is something that I've seen many chefs do all the time, but I never care to do it because I'm too lazy, I guess. But today I'm trying new things, so I save that cup of, boiling pasta water to the side, and I proceed, to drain the boiling water. Now, once I check that Matilda is far away, my wife helped me to pick up, the huge pot of boiling water, and I turn around to drain it, with her help in the sink. And when we start doing it, I hear Matilde behind me screaming the most horrific scream that I've ever heard in my life. I turn around and I see that by some black magic movements, Matilde had teletransported right behind me. And she tried to, reach to grab the cup of boiling water to see what it was, but because she's too short, she grabbed it from the top and spilled the whole cup of boiling water on her face, torso, and leg. I know. My wife is petrified. She doesn't know what to do, but I have a history with home accidents because I'm an idiot. So I quickly pick her up and remove her clothes and put her body under the cold water in the sink. And I turn to my wife and I tell her, we have to go to the hospital right now. So we immediately get in our red Prius and we break the record for the fastest a Prius has ever been driven, which is not that hard. You have to go faster than 35 miles per hour anyway. Near our house, there's an urgent care room. We get there as fast as we can, and they tell us that we're at the wrong place. We need to go to the emergency room. The cultural shock for this Argentinian boy is huge. There are 2 different places in the US to go when you have a health issue. Is that what the difference between urgency and emergency actually is? Jesus, I'm such a foreigner. When we get to the emergency room, they put us in a small room to wait for the nurses. Matilda's in a lot of pain, and the only thing keeping her from calm is the TV they have hanging on the wall in that small room where they're playing Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. I know, right? Now, if there's something besides cooking that I want to pass on to my daughter, that's my love for Star Wars. And even worse, the scene playing on the TV while we're there is that scene where Darth Vader finally says to Luke, "No, I am your father." And then Luke goes like, "No!" And I want to scream myself, "No!" But I don't want a doctor to come rushing to the room thinking that something happened to Matilde and then having to explain that, no, she's just fine. The thing is that she just got the most important part of the trilogy spoiled. I'm sorry, doctor. A little later, the nurses come to put an IV in my daughter, but she's so small that they can't find a vein. But you know how they are, just in case they keep poking her entire arm, actually both arms, and they cannot do it for any reason. We can only watch, you know, like there's nothing you can do when something like that happens to your kid. You can just watch while nurses torture your kid. They tell us that they have to do it because getting burned can dehydrate you. It makes no sense to me. How can water make you dehydrated, nurses? I guess, well, heat does evaporate water, so maybe that's what happened. I'm no doctor, I'm just an idiot, but don't worry about my thought process. This is just what I'm telling myself to keep myself calm in this situation. So after poking my daughter for a while and finding no veins, they give up and they send us to the intensive care unit for burned people. Matilde, my daughter, has second-degree burns, and she has to stay at least one night in observation. So we ask, you know, the doctors if we can both stay, my wife and I, with her that night, and they say that we can, but just for that one night. If she has to stay more nights, only one of us can stay. And we're like, yeah, sure, she's gonna be here more than one night. Sure, whatever you say, doctor, one night, more than one night. Oh, that's funny. I feel very guilty in the meantime. I was the one cooking. I was the one who left the cup of boiling water within reach of her hands, and nothing confirms my feeling of guilt more than my friend who, without me even mentioning my feeling of guilt, will not stop saying, Frank, it's not your fault. So it's my fault? The next day, some horrible doctor comes to see Matilde. He wouldn't even get near her or touch her. How are you checking the health of a burned kid if you don't even touch her? You know, like, what are you doing? He says that she has to stay more nights because there's a risk of infection, because they have to change her bandages like a couple of times a day, and that maybe we will not know how to do that. But my wife and I get very determined. We explain to the doctor that we are completely capable of changing the bandages ourselves. We can do it because my wife eats her lettuce and I eat my broccoli, and we're both big girls. The doctor is amazed by our determination and allows us to go home that same day. He knows we're not just two big girls, we're grown women. So he tells the nurse to explain to us how to change the bandages, and we go home. That week I didn't go to work. I stayed home to take care of Matilde. Her face, arm, and chest are pretty hurt. I'm terrified about the scars that she will have forever maybe, and it's all my fault. I failed my daughter. I failed as a man, as a father. But soon enough, she got better, and her skin went back to normal as if nothing had happened. Eventually, she joined me in the kitchen again, but she learned her lesson, and she stays away from hot things, not because she remembers the accident, but because every time she gets near something hot, I scream, "Watch out! What are you doing? You want to get burnt again?" And she listens to me because she knows I won't fail her again because she's my little girl.